Hey everyone, this is Scott back for another live drawing. Today I am going to do Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and a little story on how this kind of came about. It's sort of a funny story, I think. Uh, so I don't know if you guys have followed me on my live stream. You may have noticed a while back I did a drawing of who, what was it? Who did I do? Um, This is how I got into trouble because I forget things. Oh, Bolin and Pabu from the Legend of Korra series, which, if you don't know, is sort of the sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. So anyway, and the reason why I did that drawing was on my Facebook page, Circworks, Facebook/Circworks, I guess is the URL. I did a contest, and so I drew two winners, and they each picked different sketches. One was a character called Apollo Knox, who was a villain from a video game I used to work on, and the other was Bolin from Legend of Korra. And so I did both these sketches. Drew them. I don't know if I drew them both live, but I know I definitely did the Bolin sketch live. Um, and So drew them, sent them out, and I the people that I did the drawings for mentioned that they were going to send me something as a thank you, and which is a nice gesture. It's definitely not necessary. Um, so I got a package in the mail containing this really cool graphic novel, which I just finished reading, and it's excellent. It's called The Promise, and it's basically the premise is that Zuko, if you followed the story, Zuko asked Aang to make a promise that if he ever goes bad again, that Aang will take care of him, meaning probably end his life. And so reluctantly Aang makes that promise, and this is kind of what happens. I think it's a three-part series. I read this immediately, and I ran out and got the second issue here, which I haven't started yet. And then I'm gonna get the third once I'm done with that. But so I got this this book and this really cool print and a really nice letter from a fan that follows me on Facebook. And I made the mistake of actually thanking the wrong person on Facebook. And the reason why is the two winners, one of them kind of goes by an alias. And so, in order to get her address, she sent me her real name. And I had since forgot her real name, and I mixed the names up. And because they both mentioned they were going to send me something, I assumed that it was somebody else. So I gave credit to the wrong person, which which I felt really bad for. So I said, I'll tell you what. Elena Wynn is the one who sent this to me, and thank you, Elena. Um, but So I said I'll do you a favor, or I'll try to make it up to you, and I'll do another sketch for you. So that's kind of long story short. That's uh, that's that's what's going on. So she wanted me to draw Toph. And I'm always up for drawing Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, just because I love that series. So any of those characters, it's fun for me to draw. So anyway, so I'll give you a little idea. So I did a real quick just sketch. You can kind of see this is my rough sketch. It's basically Toph, who's an earthbender, which means she can kind of control the earth and everything, but she's kind of riding on a giant like piece of slate rock, and it's almost like as a surfboard, and then a wave made out of sand or dust or whatever. So I took this on my light table and I traced it real lightly. You can't see it right now, but I'm going to go over it with another pencil so you guys can see it. So I just traced that outline. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it with just, instead of my blue pencil, which I'm used to using, I'm going to go over it with just a typical kind of graphite pencil and fill in some of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink that. So So this is the, I guess the second stage. The first is my blue lines, and usually I skip this stage. Um, I don't usually go and do it with the typical pencil. Um, I just go right to inks typically, but I do want to kind of make sure everything looks right. And rather than fleshing it all out in the blue pencil, which doesn't really show up on the screen, um, I'm going to do it with this pencil, and then I'll go over it and ink it. And I don't know how many. I assume if you're watching this, you may know who Toph is, but she's a really one of the. I mean, it's hard to say one of the better characters because almost all the characters in the series are just really well done. But her in particular, she's definitely one of my favorites. And she's actually blind, but she uses, because she's an earthbender, and she's actually like the greatest earthbender like ever. She can feel the vibrations in the earth and everything, and that allows her to kind of see that way. So, but it's the character kind of comes with mostly just her attitude. She's just real tough and um, kind of real brash, but she's a really cool character. So, and with her eyes, since she's blind, she kind of just, she's kind of got real small pupils, and when she's drawn in color, her eyes are kind of grayish. And normally, I guess if I was drawing a character like this, if there's action moving this way, you can't really see it on this because it's not fleshed out, but right here, if there's action going this way, I might draw her eyes like looking in the direction she's going. But since she's blind, just kind of set her pupils in the center, and that kind of gives her sort of like a blank stare. Um, she's got a pretty cool costume too. She's got all, right now I'm drawing these little bracelets she has. But she has like a lot of these sashes and a lot of layers of clothes, which makes it interesting to draw. And like her pants are loose, so they flow with the wind, and when she's flying around and doing her thing, not flying, but well, I guess she moves the earth like she can. One of the tricks that she does is she'll make like a boulder grow right under, like a some earth grow right underneath her, like rocks, and it just like pushes her up in the air. And because she's an earthbender, I think she was the first one that actually realized that she could bend metal. Because if you follow the series, each sort of bending has like a secondary bending that they can do. Like for fire, they can also bend lightning. Um, for water, they can also bend blood, which is kind of eerie, but and they don't usually practice it unless they're like an evil character, but they can control the water in your blood to kind of control people. Um, with earth, they can bend metal because the metal is made from elements in the earth, minerals and things. And And air, what's air? They can, I guess, bend sound. And if you're not familiar at all with the series, and maybe you've heard of the movie, don't watch the movie. Watch the animated series. Because as bad as that movie is, that's how good the animated series is. Kind of let you see a little bit here. I could have probably skipped this stage, but so I'm not really doing much other than kind of going over my blue lines that I've already established. But sometimes when I go to ink, it's easier to be a little more precise when you're going over lines like this instead of the blue lines. Because typically, especially this isn't that difficult because it's, like I said, I traced over my original drawing on my light table to put it on this nice Bristol paper. Um, so I already kind of picked the best lines, the ones I wanted. Whereas if I typically draw straight on, you'll see there's a lot of extra lines here, just figuring out kind of the pose and everything. So sometimes when I ink, it's hard to kind of find out what lines I want. So sometimes I'll hit a line that's probably not the best. So typically it does help if I go over. Oh wait, I didn't want that line. If I don't, if I go over it with this pencil, then it kind of helps me figure out which are the right lines that I want to keep. And she's barefoot, which I assume is so she can feel the earth better when she steps on it. So that was probably explained, but I don't remember that part. I have to rewatch the series. Yeah, it used to be on Netflix streaming, but I think they took it off. So I'm gonna have to go out and get the Blu-ray or DVD. I can kind of see this rock that she's using sort of as a surfboard. Thank you. I got one person on the chat. Last week we didn't have anyone. I used to give more notice, but um, I've just been letting people know the day I'm doing it. But it's been I've been doing it on Thursdays around this same time, more or less, for the past, I think, probably four or so live streams. So um, and I find last week I did I was working on my comic book cover, and it's kind of funny that didn't get as much views as if I'm doing something like this. If I'm doing a character everyone knows, I usually get a lot of views, but if it's one of my own projects, it's like, who's that? I don't know who that is. I don't know if I should watch that or not. But I did just get my comic book out to the printer. I just did a real short run because I needed some for a show that's coming up, and I was going to place a larger order, but I knew I probably wouldn't sell that many at the show, and the problem was because I had to get it in less than a month, that it was going to cost. It's going to cost me pretty much what I was going to sell the book for, and the price is already printed on the book and everything. So it's going to cost me that much. So I won't be making any money off the books, but I'll get some of them out there, and then then I'll do another print run and I'll have more time where the price will go down. So. Some of these other rocks from this sort of dirt or sand sticking out. Can you see? I guess you can see what I'm drawing here. All right. So that's I think that's decent enough for right now. Oh wait, I missed this part here. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Um, let's see. All right. I don't like that. So I'm about to start inking this thing, but I don't like that line there. All right. The comic book, it's the theme of it. It's like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead, so it's kids versus zombies. It's sort of in a similar style to this, I guess you could say. If you can see the cover if you go to my Facebook page. It's Facebook/Circworks SERKWORKS, and I just posted the cover. The cover's in color. The inside the book right now is going to be black and white, but it's similar style to this. It's kids, so most of the characters in Avatar are kids as well. So, but then the zombies, they're a little more gruesome. So, and I will eventually be running it for free as a web comic. I just have to get the website set up and everything, but. She's got kind of a unique hairstyle. It's kind of like just kind of a bun in the back, like a big round bun, and then she's got sort of these bangs that fall in front of her face. For a while, I thought these things right here were earrings, but they're actually part of her little headband thing. The little tassel things that come off. I'm going to wait and draw the inside of her eyes with my micron pens because they're a little easier to control when I do circles and things. This tool that I'm using right now is called a Pentel pocket brush. So it's essentially like inking with a brush, but you don't have to keep dipping it. It's got a little cartridge in it with some ink. And as long as I don't run out of ink, then I'm good to go. Before I send this off to Lena, I'll have to scan it, and I might even color it just for myself, just for fun. Just a little fold because she's kind of bent over a little bit. So that's one of the things when you draw. It's one of the kind of hardest things to wrap your head around is the way the clothes um, fold and drape off the body. And it depends on what kind of fabric it is as to how it does that. She has real loose clothing, so they're going to kind of drape, you know, lightly kind of over the body, and or if she was wearing like burlap or something, it's not going to do the same. Back to more bracelets. I've drawn these kind of bracelets on some of my own characters every once in a while. I like this kind of style. I guess it's kind of I remember back when I was a kid playing with He-Man guys. Her bracelets are kind of the kind of bracelets that He-Man had. They've got these round things on either end, and then in the middle they've got these little round studs that wrap around. So maybe the character designer, when he or she designed Toph, um, maybe they were Masters of the Universe fans. I don't know, but these are kind of commonplace, and like especially like barbarian and things like that. So it may have even been Conan maybe had those. I don't remember before He-Man, but move to our other hand on the other side here. And then back here, this is where I don't know if you would say I guess it's a belt, but it's really just like fabric tied around um, her waist, and it kind of is flowing back here. which helps. You'll see because she's kind of flying down here, so you want the fabric to kind of go this way. Same thing with these little tassels. Instead of just, like if you look here, they just kind of hang down. But here, since she's in motion, that helps give the illusion that she's moving fast if they're flying that way. Ooh, I didn't want that line to be that thick, but oh well. If I was working digitally, I could just undo it, but you can't do that here. You can go over with some white paint if you want, but it's not that big of a mistake. I've definitely made bigger. And most people won't even notice, especially when I'm done. When I'm done, or when I'm closer, I'll go around the entire outline and kind of pop that out a little more, so it won't look so big once I do that. All right, back to the. She's got like these little bracelets on her legs too. But these ones have 2 rows of round studs instead of one. It's funny because I was looking at the comic book for reference, and I noticed there's some continuity errors, which are bound to happen when you're doing a character with this many different things going on in their costume. But so I'm trying to figure out what the costume actually looked like because I can't really draw it from memory. So she's got these little things on her feet underneath these bracelets. They're almost like not really socks because they don't go around our whole feet, but they just cover the top of her foot right here. And then in some panels she had them and some she didn't. There are a few other things like that. So I'm like, well, does she have them or not? But I just went with she has them on more panels than she doesn't. So, but I've made that mistake too, definitely on my own comic. And by the way, these books here, I mean, the illustration is just amazing. Guri Haru, I think, is the name of the artist. And then so I liked it, so I looked him up online. It looked like he used to do a comic called Power Pack, which was a Marvel comic, which I want to get some copies of that. And he had some other stuff and just awesome stuff. Usually, with kids, which is what I like to illustrate. Like like I said, my comic is most of the main characters are kids, so I like to put kids in adventure scenarios. And here we go with the sort of surfboard rock. I don't know if she ever did this actually in the comic or in the show. I hope she didn't. That way, maybe I thought of it, but likely is not. I didn't because it's too cool an idea for me to think of without having some having seen it somewhere and just forgot about it. But All right, so got some more rocks up here. Now to do the wave. Let's see. And so I don't know. How do I draw sand? What's the best way? I don't know. It's kind of. I don't want it to look like it's made out of water. And since I'm probably not going to color it, I have to show that with the texture. So hopefully this will come across as sand and not water. I'm trying to make the. This might be too small for you guys to see because the picture quality is not that great, but I'm trying not to make these little these I don't know what you call them, but trying not to make them round and more. They're little more have more angles and squares, and so they kind of look more like chunks of dirt or. And maybe if I put some little pieces here, that might help. I don't know. Another big rock chunk here. And that may help give the illusion that this is not water, that it's sand, because there's just chunks of rocks inside here. There's some kind of poking up here. Sorry, I'm being quiet. I don't know how many different ways I can describe how to draw sand. Let's see. Yeah, she's kind of like surfing on a big slab of rock. So it's like this is the sand, and she's just kind of riding on sort of a sand wave. So almost done with this part. I'll start drawing some more little chunks in here. That might help a little bit. Oh, phone's ringing. Sorry about that. I'm gonna let the machine get it. Bet you it'll click. And the only people that call me on that line is telemarketers. So, and I never answer it. So if it's important, I figured they'll leave a message. A Beetlejuice crossover. That's a character that I should do as Beetlejuice. I haven't done that one. My brother was when we were kids, my brother dressed up as Beetlejuice for Halloween once. I think he made his own costume and it really looked good too. Or actually, I think my mom sewed the costume, but he may have done like the made the wig and stuff. I don't remember. That's there. I think that's probably good. So let me go ahead and get my other pen out and I'll draw the eyes and then I'll start going over and make some thicker lines and maybe fill in her hair black and some other blacks. All right, so now I'm going to go around the whole outline of the body and just make the line a little thicker. And this is more of a stylistic choice than anything. You certainly don't need to do this, but I typically do it. I don't need to do this part here because her whole hair is probably going to be black, so I'll just go back to that when I color in her hair. So you typed in, it says sandwork. Did you mean sandworm? At first I didn't get what you were talking about, but now I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, big like that sandworm from Beetlejuice with all the stripes. Or if you've seen Dune or read any of the books, they have those big giant sandworms in those too. Yeah. Sometimes when I move the thing around, you can't see where I'm drawing, so I apologize for that. I see I'm moving the page around. Sometimes it makes it easier to do my lines that way. So instead of trying to pull the or push the brush, I can kind of pull it towards me and get better lines that way. They've actually made tools in Photoshop where you can actually rotate the Photoshop canvas too, so it makes it more like that. That's all right. I figured it out. It took me a little while, but I know you meant worm. There we go. So I don't know if I should, how much thicker I should make the sand, if at all. I guess that looks that looks a little better to make it a little thicker, at least to me anyway. Um, Maybe I'll have it get thinner as it goes down. Maybe not. Yeah, I have an okay tablet. I don't have a I have a Wacom tablet that you just Wacom, 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 whatever you call them. I don't know. People call them different things. Mine's a little older, but this is the one I have, and maybe it doesn't stretch, but but it works. It works fine for me. Someday I'd like to get a Cintiq where you can actually draw on the screen. And there's also you can get there's some other companies that have similar models that you can get, which I might get one of those if I ever start drawing my comic book all digitally. I'll definitely want to get a Cintiq or something like it. Yeah, it's kind of typically what I'll do is like, and I've talked about this before, but when you're drawing your lines, and you're right, is that when you want to make them lighter where the sun's kind of hitting it and darker underneath. So I'll just kind of I'll go over this sketch real quick. So if I if I was to do, let's see, something kind of light here, and then underneath you make it thicker, because that will give the illusion that the light is bouncing off it more, and then the thicker lines are casting shadows. Um, I do this a lot with certain comic book illustrations and things. This one this one is more of a stylistic thing, so you won't see it as it won't be as evident. I'm gonna fill in her. Got black hair, so I'll go ahead and fill that in. Then I'll go in after that. I'll go in and add some additional shadows, like under her chin and things like that. Oh, you have the same tablet? Yeah, it's not bad. I bought my son a tablet, and it was only like a $30 tablet, and I used it and it seemed like it worked good. So I haven't really I haven't really had a tablet that wasn't good. I think it just, tablets in general, you have to kind of get used to them. Like at work, I've got a really nice like a it's not like a Cintiq, but I think it's like the Intuos 5, maybe, whatever the newest one is. And it's a big giant one. And yeah, it's cool, but I don't have a problem switching when I get home just to the one I've got. So Okay, let's see. So, I wonder how I want to do her mouth. Maybe we'll see a little bit of her tongue here and just we'll do that like that. Now throw in some shadows here. Maybe a shadow right here. Maybe another one there. Another one there. Maybe some shadows where her feet are. Where else? I'm going to make her fist a little thicker since it's kind of coming at us. And maybe just a little bit here, not too much. Shadows right here. And this, her arm here is kind of going back behind her, so I will add some more shadows there. Back there. Yeah, me too. I still like doing drawing traditionally. That's one of the reasons I do stuff like this. Like my comic book I did, except for the shading, I did all traditionally, and then I scanned it in and did the shading. So, but certain things you want a more digital look for. Like when I do like video game artwork, I have to do all that in the computer because they want a specific look. Although sometimes I'll do my sketches and everything first and scan it in. All right, I think that one's about done. I'm gonna probably call it a day on this. Maybe I will make this. I'm gonna make this under here a little thicker just to show that it's in shadow. That should look good. There. Yeah, I like that. Okay, well, the only thing left to do, I guess, is to sign my name. So there we go. I usually at the end I try to put show you the whole thing, but it's kind of a bigger sketch, so I'll just kind of move it around. But that's maybe if I twist it like that, you can kind of see most of it. Anyway, so that's Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I think if you haven't seen it and you start watching it, I think you have to. I think she does. I could be wrong, but I don't think she appears until the second season, maybe. I don't know. I may be wrong, but anyway. Um, thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching along. Again, I'm CircWorks on the interwebs. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on I think Tumblr, although I haven't posted there recently, which I need to. And then circworks.com. So anyway, that's it for another Artcast, and hopefully I'll be back next Thursday. If not, I will let you guys know if it's going to be a different day. But typically, it's been on Thursdays around this time, which is around 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. They're on daylight savings time now. And when that changes, I'll let you know. It's hard for me because I'm actually in Arizona where we don't observe daylight savings time, so usually we're like an hour ahead of the West Coast. But since we don't do that, then we're on the same time zone now. So, and that's if I tell people Arizona time, which I used to, no one knows because it's always wacky. So anyway, long that's that's a story for another day. But so thanks for joining, and catch you guys next week. Later.